Bagseed Chronicles.
You can do. There's strip clubs out here that you can legally smoke weed in right now. I can take you to 3 of them.
Hello, you cannabis cowboys and cowgirls and cow whatever, all you multiple beautiful gendered cow people. Here it is the Bagseed Chronicles, and I am your host, Uncle Dig. And I am excited to welcome you to the Bagseed Chronicles. I have a special extra long show for you just in time for 4 motherfucking 20. I hope you are able to enjoy some smoky treats this year and many more to come. Today, of course, I have a garden update for you, but maybe even more importantly, I interviewed Smokelahoma Cannabis Cultivator extraordinaire Steve Alspaugh. Wish him a happy birthday too, as the man was born on 420, so you know he's got to grow good weed. And we talk a little bit about this, a little bit about that, but mostly about cannabis cultivation in Oklahoma and in Colorado. In show news, I had a logo professionally made. It should be showing up in your feed by now when you download the show. My partner mentioned that the old logo looked kind of like a rabbit poop, so I felt compelled to change it. I like the new logo. Rachel out at All-in-One Tattoo in White City, Oregon, actually did the graphic design for me. So if you want to get a tattoo from her, check her out at All-in-One Tattoo in White City, Oregon. She will not do graphic design for you, though. Only for me. Only for me. I'm very special in that way. I also had stickers made, so that's cool. If you want some stickers, let me know, and I'll shoot you a few via the old snail mail when I get some more made. Then this logo could be everywhere. Your skateboard, your car, other people's skateboards, road signs, really anywhere adhesive works. Let your imagination set you free and your bravery be your only limiting factor. Go Bagseed Chronicles Street Team, go! Eventually these will be members only perk. So DM me while I'm still desperate for attention. But before we get to all that, I bet you're wondering what's going on in my garden. Uncle Dig's garden update. It is April 18th, 2023, and I am gardening zone 8B, and this is the garden update. I harvested all of the autoflowers from the spring run successfully. All but 2 are dry. The 2 remaining plants hang drying are the last 2 bust down pateks. They have been hanging for 10 days. The blackberry from 420 Fast Buds yielded 2.11 ounces, which is the most I have yielded from an autoflower so far. She smells very good. The small Girl Scout cookie from 420 Fast Buds yielded 1 ounce. Smells fire, but not a large yield. But that isn't why I grow this plant. Girl Scout cookies does something special for me. And no matter what pheno I grow with Girl Scout cookie, whether it's the Thin Mint, some random autoflower, it always gets me super donked. And I'm always a little bit confused after I smoke it, which is an effect I can't get with every strain. Now, the Bust Down Patek 3 yielded 1.99 ounces. Very nice. This plant smells like grape gushers that has been rolling around in mud. Very interesting. Now, the next plant did very well and is very special to me, you know. The Bust Down Patek 1 yielded 3 ounces, which is my new autoflower record. For real this time. I cleared 3 ounces, which I feel like is me moving on to the next level of autoflower cultivations. I'd like to do that more consistently, but that's a good result. That's very good. This plant smells like straight grape gushers and spit. I'm very happy with how this plant turned out. And it's got me thinking that, like, I'm still progressing as a grower, which I'm really excited about. These buds will be ready to consume in another 2 to 3 weeks. But for those who are keeping track, that's 8 ounces of buds so far from my indoor grow. That's half a pound. I'm very excited about this year's winter autoflower garden and the results I have seen, and I am looking forward to smoking and sharing this fine bud. Now, all 10 of my photo period plants that are going to go outside whenever spring decides to start are just about ready to be cloned. I have 10 of them. They're in 1-gallon pots. I have 5 Fire of Maroof and 5 bag seeds. They're ready to be cloned, topped, and sexed. I need to clone these and then put the clones into flower to make sure that I have only females. Anything that shows a male, once I flower it, I'm going to kill the clone and the corresponding seedlings in order to prevent pollination. Once I know how many females I have, I'll pop feminized seed to fill the holes in my garden. So that's why I'm cloning and sexing and going through all this time. For growers who may be wondering, why don't you just use some of these sexing services? This is actually cheaper to do it this way. It's more time consuming, but it's cheaper just in energy and everything. And I enjoy learning how to clone. So this will be my 4th run of just making clones. And it's something that I think if you're going to like be good at horticulture indoors, it's something you should learn how to do and at least be somewhat familiar with, just as part of your plant learning journey. And I'm going to top them because I don't want them to be super tall and lanky. And I also want to have more branches lower down to train. And that's why I'm going to top them. I'll probably top these plants 3 or even 4 times in their lifetime. All of the plants are doing well, except one of the Fire of Maroof plants is looking like it wants to be up-potted. I don't want to toss a bunch of dirt around in my garage until my last 2 autoflowers are done drying. The one downside to using one space for so many different things is the scheduling issues. So the plants are going to have to endure a couple more days of small containers until it is time to clone, and these autoflowers are out of the way, and that should be in the next 3 or 4 days. No one has shown me any male sex characteristics yet, so we're still watching for sex. I gave all the photo period plants worm castings and 444 all-purpose fertilizer this morning. The weather is cooperating with my late start this year. It is still unseasonably cold in southern Oregon. Stay warm out there, folks, and let's overgrow the world. Everyone, Steve Alspaugh is a cannabis grower, proud father, and content creator out of Oklahoma. Welcome to the Bag Seed Chronicles, Steve.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me on here, man.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm excited to have growers from all over the country, hopefully one day the world, on this. How's your day going, though?
Oh, man. Actually, I've had a pretty wild day, you know. I must say it's been an interesting day. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, I hope wild good and not wild bad. I never want wild bad.
No, wild good, actually, man. Really, wild good.
Good. Have you had a chance to smoke on anything yet today?
Yeah, I'm actually just lit up a little pipe I got going. I got a one-hitter. I'm smoking on some strawberry pie, and that's from a grower out here called the grower is called Can-Okie Buds. She's actually from Canadian. She's Canada.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, I went down yesterday. She lives about 40 minutes south of where I'm from. I went down there and trimmed for her yesterday. I trimmed up a pound of weed for her yesterday.
Okay, cool. Is that that's a more sativa leaner with the strawberry terps, right?
Yeah. Definitely more sativa.
Yeah, I like those strawberry terps, man. I'm glad that those are kind of everywhere now. Like they're not as hard to come by as maybe they were like 7 years ago.
Yeah, it's true. I just grew a strawberry gelato at the last grow I was at, and it smelled like, just fresh cut strawberries, man. It's so beautiful.
Does it? Do those strains tickle your those cultivars tickle your throat a little bit more than some of the other ones?
What's that? The strawberry?
Yeah.
No, you know what? It does. Me and my girlfriend were smoking the strawberry last night, and she was coughing a lot more than usual. I kind of was too. Not in a bad way. It just
right.
I don't know exactly what it was. It wasn't like a bad taste. It was just made us cough more. I'm not sure why.
I think for me the strawberry terps do that, and then lemonine, like real like citrusy like strains, they get me every time. People will take these
Okay.
big rips of like a tangy, and I'm like, how are you not just dying, man? It's not even that it hurts or anything. It's like a sour candy that's almost too sour, but in the back
I
of your
got you.
throat when you take a hit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, it's not a harsh taste at all. It's just something that gets you every time, man.
Right. So
That's cool. That's cool.
that's cool, man. That sounds delicious.
It's funny how different, it's funny how the strains do that to people, man. It's funny.
Oh yeah. And I know some people, like everyone's different, right? Because some people, like I said, can smoke those strawberry and those citrus terps all day, not a problem. But then they start hitting on my like, well, like I'm smoking on like a kind of an Afghan, like I'm smoking on LA Confidential, which has some Afghan in it. It has some other delicious stuff in it that I've got
Nice.
outdoor. And it's an indica, and a lot of people when they hit it, they're like, ugh, because it's kind of like, it tastes more like funky,
Okay.
but it's got an herbal taste to it. So it doesn't taste like like when you hit it, like maybe you can say it has mint to it, but it definitely doesn't have any like real like citrusy, like poppy sweet like that.
Okay. Right on. Nice. Nice.
When did you get started growing?
Really, man, I didn't really get started growing until it was about 2015, man. Actually, I was born and raised in Ohio, to be honest.
Oh,
And
okay, Ohio,
yeah,
Ohio. That
I'm
was going to be
actually an
another
Ohio
question.
boy. Yeah, I'm an Ohio boy. But I
But
lived there. I lived there until I was like 26 or so.
yeah,
And then I hitchhiked out to Colorado. Actually, I just gave it up and just hitchhiked out to Colorado, man, in 2015, and
okay.
found a trimming job on Craigslist, and I just worked my way up from there, man.
Oh, that's awesome. A
Yeah, it's kind
trimmigrant
of a cool
boy
story.
made good. That's an awesome story, man.
Never knew I had a passion for growing anything until I started growing weed, and then I started getting into gardening, vegetables and stuff because of that. I mean, I found a passion. I found my passion, and it's cool when you can find your passion.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. My avenue was kind of the other way as far as growing. Like I had apartments for a long time, so I'd grow vegetables in boxes or on neighbors' plots and all this kind of stuff. And then when I got my own place, I'm like, well, now that this is my land and no one can be like, shake their finger at me. In 2016, then I started growing it at home. I had like, you know, piecemeal trim work and stuff before that, and I smoked weed, but I had never grown it, like been responsible from the plant from seed to jar, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you. No, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's awesome.
Colorado 2015, you're out there trimming. When did you move from trim jobs and like processing to like working with the plant?
Man, really, shoot. I started trimming, and I had no prior grow experience, trim experience. My birthday's on 420, so I've always smoked weed for a long time. So I knew plenty of shit about weed. I just never knew the process of growing, trimming. So I mean, I started from the ground up. So I started trimming, and it was kind of funny. Had to be within I think it was 2 months or 3 months. The dude that was helping out in the grow quit, and it was just me and him. So they shuffled me right over to the grow side. So within 3 months, I was getting taught, and that was hydroponics. So my first style of
Okay.
growing was hydroponics, and
So
I'm kind
clearly
of great.
indoor if you're doing hydroponics.
Yeah, definitely. It was indoor. Yep, for sure.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so my first introduction to growing was hydroponics, man. We had 100-gallon reservoirs, and we'd flood and drain the table, and that was my introduction, man. So
Yeah.
kind of reversed from a lot of people. A lot of people start growing in soil in their closet or something. But yeah, I started off at hydroponics. So
Yeah. I have a weird route. My first interaction with the plant were big outdoor, like not large as in plant count, but large as in size of the plants
oh, cool,
gardens out in Oregon. Like my first
awesome,
exposure was like Southern Oregon monsters, if that makes sense.
damn, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's great.
it is really neat, man. And a lot of people are like, I'm like, oh, you grow? I'm like, yeah, man, I've grown. I'll be like, I've been growing, for 5 years. And like, how's your weed? I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. And they're like, oh, you got any indoor? I'm like, oh man, my indoor is not as good. I've only been growing indoor like 2 years. And they're like, well, you've been growing since 2016. I'm like, yeah, outdoors.
Right, right. That's fun.
Um,
That's
so was that your favorite way to grow, or have you grown
I
soil
mean,
since then? Or out, I've seen some greenhouses in your Instagram feed, right?
oh yeah. So that was Colorado, man. That was all I did in Colorado was just that one grow, the hydroponics. I did there for about 5 years, and then I made a connection with a guy in Oklahoma that actually was from Ohio, and he came out here and opened up a grow. And ever since then, man, 2019, I have grown soil. I've grown cocoa. I've dealt with general hydroponics nutrients. I've dealt with salts. I've done the greenhouse. You name it, man. I've learned a lot in the last 4 or 5 years I've been here, man. So I'm really
Okay.
grateful. I'm grateful
That
for Oklahoma, man.
that's really cool, man. So I wanted to ask you some question about hydroponics. I've never really
Yeah,
had anyone on the podcast who has done that for any length of time. And if they have, I'm sorry, I didn't know. You should have told me and I would have asked you about it. But so for example, so with a basic flood and drain setup, right? Which is kind
yeah.
of like the basic entry level hydroponics, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Okay, it's
pretty
one
basic.
of them, right? There's a million ways to
Oh yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's a pretty
hydroponically
basic.
grow a plant.
Yeah, it's a pretty basic setup for your hydroponics. I mean, it's pretty. Put a reservoir table on top, flood that table once, however many hours. Boom. I mean, it's an easy setup.
And so basically
But
that's as you described, you have a plant in a neutral grow medium or cocoa, and then it's sitting on a flood table, and like you said, at an interval, a nutrient solution floods
yeah,
that table and then drains.
exactly. Yep.
Okay, wow. So people might ask, why would you do it that way? That sounds really energy intensive.
Well, it is. I mean, the basic principle of that is you can feed that day, or you can feed those plants, 10 times a day, 12 times a day, depending how often you water them and how long you water them. So
Right.
instead of feeding the plant once a day, you're pumping food into it all day long. So it's just getting bigger results, bigger buds, bigger colas.
So you're
So
getting a bigger cola and a more vigorous plant that at a higher growth rate. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
but your expenses are higher too. You know what I mean? So I mean, it depends how you want to grow. It all pays off in the end. I think about the same.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, because so we had the 100-gallon reservoir underneath the table. Well, that
Okay.
100-gallon with the nutrient mix, we got to change that water out once a week and put new nutrients uh just to keep it fresh. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you got to clean your pumps. There's a lot of maintenance to hydroponics, man. In the end, I'd rather grow in soil or cocoa, man, and do less of a setup because it's just less of a headache, man. In my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, and soil is definitely my comfort zone too. I mean, I've definitely added some salts to soil, but I've never not had soil as a buffer. And I think um yeah, I really don't have any interest in growing in like an inert medium, to be honest with you. It sounds
Yeah.
foreign to me.
Well, and then on top of the tech, you got you got problems like with the pump going bad. So like I don't know how many times in those 5 years I would go into the grow and have a whole table crash out because the pump went bad overnight and you weren't there to catch it, so they didn't get water. And with a hydroponic, miss six waterings or so, and that plant's gone. I mean, it's used to getting watered so many times a day, and if it doesn't get that, it's gone, man. So
Dude, yeah, that's
a little bit,
fast.
yeah, it happens a lot quicker. So it's you got to be on top of your shit. You got to have shifts. You got to have people. You just got to be more on top of your shit. Like I said, it's more headache doing hydroponic.
It
You got
sounds
a lot
like
more
it.
stuff you got to worry about. Timers going bad, anything.
Well, right, for sure. And if your timer goes off on your indoor light and you don't notice for 6 hours, it might not be that big of a deal if you get everything back on track real quick and it
Yeah.
only happens once. It might not be a big deal, but if you miss like 3 waterings, like you said, that plant is halfway to hell.
Oh yeah, and especially if it's during lights on. When the heat's in there and the lights are on it. If they miss that water during the heat during the day, those plants are gone, man. So yeah, it's just
That's that's
lot more
nutty.
headache with hydroponics, man.
And you've grown in soil, and you've said you prefer soil overall. When
Yeah,
did you,
soil. I've really got into cocoa here lately. I like cocoa and soil, but
okay. So you went to Oklahoma. When did you get out to Oklahoma and start growing out there? Shortly after when it legalized?
yeah, 2019. I got out here at the beginning of 2019.
Okay.
So I've been out here for about going on 4 years now. So yeah,
Man, it's crazy to me that 2019 is 4 years now.
I almost had to do the math. I was like, wait a minute, has it been 4 years? It's been
No, no,
3 years,
that was last year. What are you talking about?
right? So no,
um,
yeah, it's been interesting out here.
is most of the cultivation you've seen in Oklahoma been indoor or outdoor? I feel like I see a mix.
Oh, it's a good mixture of both, man. Uh, Actually, the grow I was just working for got bought out, and the company that bought it, they have a 300-acre outdoor grow. So
That's
definitely
big.
got a lot of outdoor grows out here too.
Okay, okay. I haven't had the opportunity because I've had some questions about that because it sounds like a lot of what people are doing is greenhouses anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah. Greenhouses. There's a lot of greenhouses too.
Um, and I was wondering, did y'all grow like, because I haven't seen like a lot of like giant plants in Oklahoma. Like, I mean, I know there's no real incentive the way the plant counts are structured to
Yeah.
grow plants that big, but does anyone really do it? Like growing like, 10-footers? Do you see that much?
I mean, I've seen it, but not that much. No. And
Okay.
mainly it's moms. Somebody's mother plant that has got their moms may have got 10 foot, so they flower them. But I've never really seen anybody run like commercial size, consistent 10 foot tall plants. No.
Right. And I've noticed that even out here, and I have feelings about it because I know the only reason we were doing that out here was honestly because of plant counts.
Oh
Like
yeah, yep.
like why on in the world would you grow a 15-foot plant if you can have like, more than, 10 or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Now,
exactly.
I did it last year. I grew like a 9-10 footer just because I could, because I wanted to,
Yeah.
but I don't think I'll be doing it again anytime soon.
Yeah. Now the greenhouse I was at, we had some other plants that were about 15 foot tall easily.
I have seen some of those crazy like 4-year-old mothers that people have where it looks like some weird jungle tree where it almost looks like it has like a solid knot for a root ball, and like it those are crazy.
I know, right? Yeah, I've seen those too. This one, we've had a couple big ones over at that greenhouse, but yeah, not like that. But I know what you're talking about. four
Oh
year old
yeah.
mothers.
Oh yeah, dude. So, do you home grow as well as like grow professionally and like work in the industry?
I have, but I usually when I do commercially grow, I usually try not to grow at home. Just I don't like if anything happens at either spot, I don't like to be the middleman of carrying something from one spot to the other.
Yes,
Uh,
that makes total
I try to
sense.
respect that. I try to respect that, man.
That
And,
actually makes a lot of sense. It really does.
and would you if you were working retail at Walmart, would you want to go work and be a cashier at your house too? You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get worn out on what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Does that
Oh,
make
that
sense?
totally makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like if that's all I do is grow, then I'm gonna get burnt out on it. So I
Oh,
don't want to get
okay.
burnt out on it. So
Totally, totally.
and when I'm not, there's been periods in the last like 9 years that I haven't grown. So in that meantime, I'll grow outside or I'll grow indoors. Yeah, I got a 4x4 tent at my house. So
Okay, nice, 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 nice.
I really want to get in cultivating mushrooms this year is what I really want to do, but that's a whole other story right there.
Oh, that's funny. I've actually but I've got a part two of the last interview I did. The guy talks about cultivating mushrooms at home.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. You should give it a listen when I release it.
No, I
Um,
will. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I want to get into that I want to get into that this year.
Oh yeah, I think we're on the cusp of like, where home grow was kind of like, I would say like 3 or 4 years ago where it was really taken off, and now it's kind of like a lot of people are home growing. I think a lot more than maybe any of us realize are home
Oh
growing.
yeah. Yeah.
And then I think growing mushrooms at home, not even psilocybin like
Oh
psychedelic
yeah.
mushrooms, but like cordyceps and lion's mane and like
And
whatever,
oysters and all that
yeah,
fun
like
stuff.
whatever edible mushrooms, yeah.
Yeah, they're just fun in general, man. Mushrooms are just awesome.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And I approach I'm not very knowledgeable about mushrooms, but I approach them from kind of a like joyful idiot perspective. Like I just like to go out because the Northwest has so many stupid pretty mushrooms,
Oh yeah,
Steve.
they really do. I
And
bet.
so we'll go out and like spring, right now, like in the next 4 weeks, there's gonna be like a mushroom season, and then there might be one more, and then in autumn, and you will see like blue mushrooms, pink mushrooms, like
Really
weird,
out there in
like,
Oregon?
oh yeah,
Yeah, that's cool as shit.
yeah, I'm in Southern Oregon, so it's actually really cool. I Here in like the Rogue Valley where I'm at, we've got like 7 or 8 different microclimates. So
Cool.
like there's like these plateaus that have like there's these rocks called the Table Rocks that I'm gonna sound like a fucking tourist guide. There's these rocks that have like their own like flowers and butterflies that don't exist anywhere in the world. And
That's
we're
cool.
kind of in this cool place where the Siskiyou, Northern California mountains meet the Cascades coming down from Washington.
Okay.
So we have like two different mountain ranges kind of thrusted in the middle, and then we have one of the last like cleanish rivers, the Rogue River. So like it's just a pretty cool spot, and I'm sure I'm ruining it by talking about it on the internet, but
No, that's cool, man. Like my plans when I hitchhiked out of Ohio was to actually go to the West Coast because I've never been to California, any of the West Coast. So, but I got stopped in Colorado growing weed, man.
Colorado is not a bad place to be, and
No, it's definitely not.
me and my wife often talk about Colorado being like the other side of whatever coin Oregon is on in a lot of ways. Like we're on the same like wavelength, but we all pick different hats and like different clothes.
That's funny shit.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. When I
yeah.
when I left when I left Ohio, I didn't have any kids, so I had two kids in Colorado as well. So that kind of stopped me for a little bit too.
Well, yeah, you got to take care of the little ones if you've got any for sure.
But yeah, one day we're gonna check out Oregon, man. I'm excited. One day.
Oregon's really cool, man. And there's kind of like different, like kind of like I don't want to call them like human microclimates, right? That's weird. But
Yeah.
like if you go up and down the five, right? The I-5 corridor, there's like kind of the northern part, like by Portland, and that's got its own vibe. That whole area down through down not Astoria, down through Salem and all that, and Albany and stuff. And then you get out of that and you get into this weird hinterland. And then that's kind of like more like rural open plains ish. You go through like Lynn County and stuff, and then you get down into Eugene, and that's more hippy dippy and stuff. And then you get
Nice.
down into Southern Oregon from Eugene onward, and it's kind of a mix of like weird right wingers and like hippies and stuff like that down here as well. It's kind of cool. It's a different vibe.
That's cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Awesome.
cool, man. You should check it out. And then
Definitely.
there's Eastern Oregon, which is it's a whole nother thing, man. Like
No shit.
I haven't spent much time out there, but I need to go camping out there and check it out. Yeah,
That's fun. Hell yeah.
more deserty out there. It's less like green.
That's cool. Like a whole other world almost.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it seems like to me.
That's cool. Awesome.
How is Oklahoma's cannabis scene different from Colorado's that you've noticed?
Well, man, I don't, kind of different in a way. I guess it's more community built, I guess. There's a lot of community out here, man. A lot of family out here in the cannabis industry. Like I feel like in Colorado, maybe I don't know, maybe it was brand new here when I got here in Oklahoma. So a lot of people were together building shit, whereas I went in halfway through with Colorado. So it was a little bit different, I guess. But a lot
Right.
more, there's a lot of cups out here. I know a lot of people need a trophy for what they're growing. So it's like once spring and summer hits, there's almost a different cup every weekend, man. I'm not even kidding you.
That's wild to me. See that?
It is. It is a lot of paid for shit. So it's the sponsors that are winning this shit. I'm like, wait a minute, why do you guys keep doing this shit? Do you need this many trophies, man?
Well, my buddy told me he had to buy the weed in his like judge's like
Yeah.
tray, and I'm like, oh, honey, that makes me mad. I don't even know why, but I don't like that. I don't
Yep,
like that the you
you
know
gotta
what I
buy a
mean?
judge's kit. It comes with a sample of everybody that's in the cup. I'm like, what the hell kind of shit is this, man?
Like you invite me to host this, that means you give me free weed. Like,
Oh
listen,
yeah,
I have my own cannabis cup every harvest season. with me and my friends, and there's no winner. We all just stoned as fuck and don't even remember what we smoked. So let's not lie to the good people.
Right. Yeah, so it's definitely the Oklahoma scene. It's dude. I mean, you can even ask anybody out here. It's the wild, wild west compared to any other state's industry, man. I tell you that. And
Interesting.
it's good. It's good and it's bad. I mean, but every state's got its good and bad. You know what I mean? So it's. I feel like this is almost like a land of opportunity. If you wanted to come get started in the cannabis industry, this state would be the easiest one to get started in. So that's really good. You can get your foot in the door a lot easier out here. So
Well, yeah, and I wanted to ask you because like y'all just like had like an opportunity to make it like fully legal or like fully regulated or
yeah,
whatever that the state
yeah,
question 820, and I kept my mouth shut about this because I read the thing and most of it was just signature pages, honestly.
yeah.
But like, uh, how do you feel about it? I have feelings
I
about it.
I wish it would have passed, but I see good and bad in the bill. I mean,
I
but
agree
every
with you.
bill,
First of all, I
every
wish that it had passed.
that's good, yeah, because I'm on the same page. But I can see the bad in it, just like I can see the good. Like there was like something that said 50% of the money goes to the government with no allocation of where it gets spent. That's fucked up. But it also freed people that were jailed because of marijuana. So it's like, okay, that's cool. So you know what I
Right.
mean? It's like you're on the fence. It's like, well, I want some good, but you gotta take the bad. That's how it is, though. You gotta to get the good, you gotta take some bad, man. I mean, it's just
I
life.
I tried to get up in arms about Oregon taking tax money from the cannabis fund and putting it into law enforcement. But at the end of the day, no matter what it says and whatever everyone votes on, they can turn around and make it all go to the cops if they want to, because they did in Oregon. They said it was going to go to education, and they were like, you know how we said education?
Yeah,
Nah, we give like 5%. The rest of that goes to the cops. I'm like, the cops are plenty educated,
yeah,
man. Like,
that's
we need to
crazy.
give these kids new books. They're running around like with shit from the Oregon Trail, and cops got like brand new Glocks, man. I'm like, what that pistol he had last year wasn't new enough?
Yeah,
Shit.
right. He needed an upgraded pistol. Okay.
Like, fuck, bro.
But no,
Like,
a lot of people complained about it out here, and they said it was going to ruin the medical industry. I think it would have made the medical industry thrive, man, and that's just my opinion.
well,
Um,
I think people, once they get a walled garden, right? They get a walled garden for an industry and they want to protect that. And I will tell you, when Oregon legalized, a lot of people I knew who were making money with backyard medical grows are stopped making money with those backyard medical grows. And
okay,
I'm not
yeah,
saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what happened. And if you want to preserve like those super, super small batch, but still professional, like I don't know how you do that with a modern cash crop. I just
yeah,
don't. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I just don't. You can do that yourself at home, and I think everyone should try. And it's such a joy. But um yeah, I don't know if anyone's ever gonna make money again with a 12 plant grow.
yeah,
Does that
yeah.
make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. Yeah, yep. No, it totally makes sense. That's what's happened out here is everybody grows, and there's so much weed, man. I mean, that's like I said, it's a land of opportunity, but it's also a bad thing because it literally has been the land of opportunity for over 10,000 people to start cannabis industries, man. So, it,
Yeah.
it, you know, it's oversaturated, and I honestly think recreational would have helped level that out. Who cares about the taxes? Some people were complaining about 15% tax, and I'm like, well, that just means people that want to come here from out of state and use cannabis in our state, we get a tax of 15%.
You
A lot of Oklahoma people should be happy about that because we're getting a lot of people's money from out of state. So
Well, and
I'm
that's
cool.
I right now, if I want to come to Oklahoma, let's say, because I've got people in Oklahoma. I've got an Oklahoma grandpa. Right now, if I want to come in Oklahoma and I want to do my weed legal, because let's be real, I come to Oklahoma, I'm gonna smoke some Oklahoma weed this time. By hook
Exactly.
or by crook, it's gonna happen, okay? There's gonna be about an ounce of diversion happening. It's gonna be Uncle Dig, okay? It's just okay, so let's just be real. I'm gonna be there for more than a day. I'm copping some good weed, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now I've gone to Oklahoma and been a good boy and been sober. But what I have to do is I have to fill out $100 thing with with the state to get my medical card, because I do have my medical card in Oregon.
Yeah.
So I can get a reciprocal, which is nice of Oklahoma to allow me to do. but it would be easier for me and more profitable for your state. Because let's be real,
Yeah,
15%. I'm
yeah.
gonna I'm gonna give them $100. But if I buy like if you just let me buy weed, if I'm long enough there long enough, I'm gonna pay more in taxes
Exactly,
on
man.
that
That's what I'm saying.
weed than I did pay in the state. And I'll come there more often because I'll take that money I was paying you and spend it on airfare or
Yeah.
hotels or whatever the hell.
Yeah, so anybody born and raised from the state should be like, okay, that's a profit for my state. That's awesome. But a lot of people are greedy and I guess dumb because it doesn't make sense. I mean, that's double the taxes. Like, okay, cool. We just got double the taxes from this person out of state. Cool. I still got my medical card. I'm only getting charged 7%. You know what I mean? So medical would still thrive, in my opinion. So,
Oh, and let's not forget if it's legal, listen, y'all keep all the good weed in Oklahoma. You keep the good weed for the patients, right? I know some shops will do this, but like y'all are gonna have a drunken horde of Texans
oh, hell
crashing
yeah, dude.
across the border, and they will smoke
Exactly.
up the bunkest of bunk and tell you it's fucking manna from heaven.
Yeah, that's all I can. That's all I can think of is, damn, Texas would flood the state to smoke. You know what I mean? Legally, they would,
Yes.
man. They would in a heartbeat.
You
I'm
could
just like,
set
this is
up.
a
You
no
could set.
brainer. This is
Listen,
a no brainer.
adult consumption lounges in
Yeah,
where? What's that? What's that town down where Troy Aikman's Atoka? Atoka
yeah,
would
yeah.
just be shopping centers with just like hookah and sandwich shops,
Oh
and
yeah,
just
people could
filled
have
with
started
drunk
opening up.
Texans, dude.
Yeah, people could have started opening up lounges. I mean, the economy could have thrived in Oklahoma even more than what it is now. Man, I just don't understand these people, man.
They could have looked at Oregon's industry and been like, what? Fuck Oregon. Like y'all got mountains. That's hard to get to. It's flat here. We just grow it, throw it right on the
Right.
truck.
So now I don't know if you've heard now since because it failed, the state's acting like, oh, Oklahoma doesn't want weed. So now they're tightening up the medical program and they're going to implement a qualifying condition for your medical card. Because right now you don't have to really have a qualifying condition; you can just get your card. But now they're going to start tightening up because we voted no for rec, so it makes it look like we don't want weed here. So now
Fucking
they're going to start tightening this shit
assholes.
up. This is exactly what I knew was going to happen, man, and it's happening right in front of us. They've already started talking about this qualifying condition shit. And I'm like, dude, we've had the best program in the state in the country. Like you can literally like we have the highest, I think we have the highest exception rate, out of for patients. So I don't understand. I don't know, man. It's a no brainer.
It's listen, I don't I don't God, I don't want to get political, but like it seems like everyone wants to restrict some fucking freedom, whether it's this freedom or that freedom. And listen, I get that like cannabis. No, listen, you how are you pro? How are you pro? I can be 18 and go buy a fucking AR-15, but I can be 21 and can't go buy an eighth of weed and roll
Oh
in.
shit.
How the fuck is I'm not even saying I'm against the Second Amendment. I recorded a very unpopular episode about
Yeah.
my view on the Second Amendment. And I'm long story short, I'm pro Second Amendment, but like listen,
Yeah,
folks,
no,
if
it's
you
easily
can't be
comparable to
pro cannabis is not it's not a gun. So how are you going to be pro gun and not pro cannabis? It's the
that, right?
talking levels of risk mitigation like night and day different. You're talking about a death button and a joint.
Yep.
And it
Check this shit out. My girlfriend had an interview at Walmart, right?
oh,
Just yesterday. And they asked her, do you have your medical marijuana card? And she said no. And they said, well, if you did, you wouldn't be able to take the position because she was a position in the sporting goods and she'd be handling guns and ammunition. I said, what kind of fucking shit is that?
oh my god. You know what's funny? Like Walmart does not even test in Oregon, Steve.
That's crazy. That's how it should be, man. I mean, we're a medical state. They should drop it. Well, they should drop it altogether, bro. I mean, let's be honest. But yeah, they straight up asked her that question. I think that's fucked up. I wanted to work for them anyways.
They still discriminate in some industries in Oregon, but I mean it's kind of what you expect, right? Like good luck being a truck driver, right? Because you need a federal license. Good luck being a nurse. Good luck being a cop. Good luck being a firefighter or an EMT. Because if you piss out, they're gonna fire you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but my friend, he got a job at Amazon out here, and he's an actual driver, and he failed for weed, and they said cool, and he got the job.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
Amazon don't give a fuck.
yeah, no,
Amazon,
Amazon
listen,
don't give a fuck. They don't care at all, bro. I'm like,
listen.
wait a
You
minute,
wanna
can't
you
these
wanna
be at
talk about
Walmart at the same time?
legalization? Oh. Amazon wants to be the one that sells you that shitty eighth.
Oh, hell yeah, they do, for sure. Right to your
Oh
doorstep,
my
man.
God. Wait until there's 2 states with 2 Amazon warehouses next to each other, and one state has a slightly sunnier climate than the other one. Watch what happens. Oregon's
Yep.
already set for interstate commerce. We're
Yeah.
ready. It's already in our laws. Like, as soon as it's allowed, we're going to start shipping pallets of legal weed to you fucks everywhere.
That's
All
awesome.
of y'all.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, and places like Colombia are ahead of the United States on this.
Are they?
Yeah, there's like really crazy, like Colombia's one big one. There's a few other places where like they're taking like legal cannabis cultivation to exciting new levels, and they've got like thriving home grow and stuff. I've been watching this one guy on Instagram. No, sorry, on YouTube, and I can't remember what his name is. I'm sorry, but he's like this like guy who like speaks perfect English, and he lives in South America, and he has like this really like kick-ass mustache and a mullet, and he like grows these different homegrown strains from seeds, and it's just really fun to watch. And he takes them to these cups all around South America and the world. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Hell yeah. Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of like really neat people just letting their stuff hang out and showing everybody what they've got going on as far as
Oh yeah.
cannabis. It's a really cool time to be around the
It is a
plant.
cool time. It is, man.
But yeah, it does suck. And I worried about what you were saying, like Oklahoma backsliding. When I saw that, I'm like, guys, you can try to have this walled garden, but it's forward or backwards. I feel like you cannot stay stagnant. You're either like barreling hard so forward that the cops are like confused as to what they're even allowed to do. Like Oregon, like some of our police officers don't know the law because it's changed twice in the past year, just in regards to like how much meth you can have before you go to
No
jail.
shit.
Yeah, bro. Like,
No, I
so like
believe it. I believe it.
I mean, honestly, like, so we passed basically something that legalized psilocybin treatment, right? We didn't legalize magic mushrooms, but we legalized certain drugs in like quote unquote user amounts. Now, some of those user amounts were crazy. Like, you don't go to jail if you've got 40 hits of acid on you, which I'm not saying you should go to jail for 40 hits of acid, but 40 hits of acid does not sound like personal use to me.
No. Who am I to judge? But no, it does not.
let's not go there, children. If we haven't gone there already, let's not go there.
All right. That's funny shit.
So like I said, so there's different, and I don't like that because it confuses people, right? Like, I can be in Oregon and I can go to the store and I can buy an ounce of weed and roll that up at the hotel and walk to the park and smoke it. And like, is public consumption legal? Technically, no. But
Yeah.
is anyone going to fucking flip out?
No.
The worst that's going to happen is a cop is going to be like, hey, man, like, you see that playground, like right there? Can you like go down by the river? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, that's the kind of shit that you're going to, like, no one's like getting clapped. You go to Oklahoma and like do that, like, and they might respond to you differently. You go to Texas,
yeah,
and you've got a joint and an ounce in your pocket. Oh,
yeah,
buddy, I'm sorry about your whole life now.
yep. I will say Oklahoma has become a lot more lenient since the years I've lived here.
That's
Um,
awesome.
because there is a law that says you're allowed to smoke weed anywhere that you're allowed to smoke cigarettes. To an extent, like if unless it's posted otherwise, you know what I mean. And that holds true. People test that shit all day, and I mean, I've seen a lot of people smoke
Wait,
where I didn't think people.
can you smoke cigarettes in bars in Oklahoma still?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of bars that you can do. There's strip clubs out here that you can legally smoke weed in right now. I can take you to 3 of them.
You
And
can, can you?
one of them is right next to a police station, bro. They're not shut down. So
I
no,
wait.
you,
Okay, hold on. So
yeah,
this is
I'm being
so wait.
serious.
I
You
can
can
go. There is a strip club. What town is this in? We're gonna give them free advertising.
Oklahoma City, man. There's a little Darlings is one. There's another one called China's Playhouse or Dollhouse. I can't remember what it is. It's in Oklahoma City, and there's
Okay.
one in Muskogee on the east side of the state. It's called Coco Bongos. It's
Oh my! I
I
want to
think there's a
smoke a joint, and I want to make some poor girl do a dance to Okie from Muskogee while
well,
I smoke a
it,
joint.
it can
Oh my
happen here,
gosh!
bro. It can happen in Oklahoma.
Oh,
That's our slogan. Hey, it can happen in Oklahoma, man.
oh, that's beautiful.
And
That's
yeah, definitely. Like I
beautiful.
said, yeah. Oh yeah, it's a great time to be alive. Like I said, they're a lot more lenient out here now, bro. It's becoming pretty lax out here.
So
I've
speaking
got
of,
pulled over. I've got
oh
pulled
yeah, go
over
ahead.
twice in this state, and each time the cop said it smelled like weed, and they asked me for my medical card, and they let me go without even question, bro. No question at all.
That's awesome. And
So
oh, that's beautiful. I have, yeah. And that's another thing. You got to be careful driving around with it, depending on where you are. Be careful
oh
out
yeah.
there, folks. Um, so, so you're like agree with me. Like we want more freedom, not less. This was good.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
was about expungement. This would have opened it up. This would have made another like free state in the heart of the Midwest, which makes the cannabis insurgent in me very excited, right?
Yep, yep.
And,
Definitely. I've
and
always been an advocate for the plant all day, man. I mean, all day. So
so, question for you: does the cannabis industry in Oklahoma agree with this or with us, or do they seem pretty happy that they've kept their walled garden, or is everyone kind of mixed?
I think a lot, dude. I saw people cheering it on, like, "Congratulations, Oklahoma! You made the wise choice after the election." So there's a lot of
Right.
people
I was
that,
so confused by that.
yeah, yeah. So it's a lot of people that stand against what I'm talking about, but we'll find out in the coming months, man. Like I said, they're going to tighten up the medical game, and I think it's going to be a lot different here in the next coming months. And I don't think it's going to be for the better, man. Because
Yeah, I'm
literally
sorry to hear that.
on the news, they would come across and be like, "Well, Oklahoma said no to weed." That's how they would. That's how they came across us voting no. Like they say no to weed. Like that's not a good slogan.
Yeah, I
And I
just
get it. And I get it. I'm sorry. I get it. They weren't saying no to weed. They were saying they wanted it written better, but it's going to be another 3 years before we can get this shit going again. And I mean, hopefully somebody can get one better because, I mean, you know what I mean? It's just, we should have, I don't know, man. Everybody, there's mixed feelings, but I stand behind my opinion, man.
well, and I think this would have legalized home grow, which would have been a game changer.
Yeah, you know, and I ain't gonna lie, I didn't read too much into the bill because I mean, there was a lot to read, but I did read into it. I don't know about the home grow. I think it would have included a home grow. I'm pretty sure, and that's fucking great. Why not, man?
Well, and
And I,
that's what went a long time toward making it not a big deal in Oregon, because like anybody here can grow 4 plants, and anybody here does. Anybody who wants to grow cannabis, just like, you know what? I've decided, Thelma, this year's the year. I'm growing wacky tobacco next to the corn, and then they just fucking do it, and it's no big deal. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, I know, I hear you.
And
And
it's
so I get,
it's
I got a lot of people probably felt threatened because of that. I get that too, but I don't
it
know.
didn't cut into our industry here at all in Oregon. You know,
Yeah, I
the
mean, there's a
only
lot of
thing that changed is people stopped making money on the small farms. There was still plenty of weed. There was still plenty of home grow. Home grow has never cut into the market here. People always would rather buy it than smoke than grow it
yeah,
most of the time because people are lazy,
yeah,
or more likely they don't have time.
or impatient too. They don't have patience.
Well, I mean, even with an auto, it takes 3 months to grow weed, in my experience.
Exactly. Yep. So if you're out, you're out. You gotta go to a dispo, man. It's gonna happen. So, but yeah, I'll stand behind that. My opinion. A lot of people, but yeah, like you were asking though, it's mixed because I know people that were for it, I know people that were against it, and I'm still friends with them. It's whatever. To
Oh, well,
each their own.
totally, totally. Do you have any
So,
advice for any aspiring cannabis farmers or people who want to get into the industry or start like hanging out in this scene more?
I mean, I always say social media is key right now, especially nowadays. I mean, getting your name out there, and then I don't know. I always have a good tip for the like if you're an up and coming grower, you don't know much about growing, or even if you do, but you want to get in the industry. A lot of these people don't want to hire somebody to come in and change up their style of growing. A lot of these places have shit dialed in per their environment,
Okay.
and I've been in such scenarios where we've hired people and they'll come in and be like, "Oh man, you guys are doing this wrong. You got to do it this way." And that's cool. There's a million ways to grow. You know that, man. There's so
Oh
many different
yeah.
ways to grow, and they're not this way is the right way, not that way is the right way. There's so many different ways. So number one is just to listen. If you want to go get a job growing for somebody, listen to that person because if they've been established and they know what they're doing, they got it dialed in, soak up the knowledge, and just one day you can apply it towards your own grow. If you get towards your own, if you're in the position to open up your own grow, gather all this knowledge from these different grows and apply it to yourself. But more so than anything, just listen to whoever you're growing for, and do what you're told, because they're going to like that a lot more than you coming in and saying, "Hey, let's tweak this and do it this way." Let's tweak it. In some places it might be cool, and hey, let's do a side by side and see how it does. But a lot of places have this shit dialed in, and they're not looking for people to come in and change their minds. They're looking for just workers. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And if you've never grown before, like it's good to learn someone else's grow approach first.
yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
And I would, and I'll admit to this, and I'll freely admit to this. When I first started growing, I had enough traditional gardening experience, let's say, because like as soon as I got out of the military and I had a place where I could keep a bucket of dirt, I was growing cilantro. I was just growing stuff. I always liked growing stuff, and I couldn't when I was in the Army. So when I got out, I was always growing something, even if it was just dirt in a bucket. I was growing moss, something,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
and so I took a lot of that experience and I went to cannabis, and it worked out mostly, but there were times where I had opportunities to get mentorship where I didn't take it, and it's bitten me in the ass long term. So if someone is just willing to sit down with you and tell you or like show you from A to Z how they fucking grow and jar cannabis, you might, and listen, there might be holes in their game. I'm not telling you everyone's got
Oh
it
yeah.
dialed in,
Yep.
but respectfully listen and try it, and then tweak it. But
Yeah.
you'll learn
Exactly.
something because everyone's got a different look, and maybe they figured out a way to control for something that's way better than what you had going on. Someone's
Oh yeah.
always got something to teach you if they've been doing this a long time.
Yep, I agree, man. I mean, like I said, I've been at almost, well, I'm about to start my sixth grow in this state, and every grow I've worked at, I picked up something along the way, man, and I'm using it all today. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go into a new job with a chip on my shoulder, like, oh yeah, I've managed this many grows, I've done this, I've done this. I go in like, hey, I want to learn how you're doing this. Like, you're growing, obviously, you're growing a different way. I want to learn how you're growing this time, and I got a whole book in the back of my head of how people are growing, man. And it's
Right.
interesting to see all these different styles and grow. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure. So, and we talked about different styles. I wanted to ask about lighting because you've been in it, like you said, six grows. How many of those were indoors?
Uh, five of them.
Okay, five of them. So out of those folks, how many were using like high intensity discharge versus LEDs?
Let's see. Shoot, I think four of them were HPS, and
Oh
then
wow.
one was LED.
Wild. So
Yeah,
is that pretty normal to run into HPS more than LED?
I think it's slowly changing, but yeah, there for a minute it has been the norm of running across HPS rather than LED.
Okay,
I
interesting,
mean,
interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Even the grow I'm sitting at right now, I'm about to water when I go up here. They have HPS here too.
Okay, interesting. I don't
Yeah,
I don't have an opinion. I chose LED because I have had trouble managing heat, so it seemed like the obvious choice just from a heat management perspective at home.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And
but yeah.
it's the cost difference, in LED compared to HPS. It's just I would hate to be an owner of a grow having to see that electric bill for HPS, man.
Oh
So
yeah, you're
I
losing so much energy just in
oh yeah,
pure heat.
yeah. I've heard people sell their weed and make up the price. Oh well, we charge a little bit higher because we run HPS. Like no one makes you do that. That's your choice. Like you can't mark your shit up. I mean, I don't. In my opinion, you can't really do that. You made that choice.
Right, 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 right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't, and like
I've heard people do that.
that, you can say whatever it is you want. At the end of the day, I think eventually whatever is more efficient will win out.
Oh yeah.
I've never worked with HPS personally. Like
Okay.
I've like, I'm sure I've trimmed a bag of weed that was grown under HPS, but I've
Yeah.
never, I mean, and I could be forgetting a grow I've been on, but I think most of the grows I've been on have been LEDs. Now I've seen some banged up LEDs, man.
Oh yeah.
Like I've seen some LEDs where half of the diodes were like burnt out and they had them like put tight together, just like, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
I haven't run into a commercial grow with HPS unless they just didn't show me that room or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of flip flop here. Like you would run across more HPS and not LED unless they have like one little room off to the side that they're trying LEDs in.
Okay,
I think
interesting.
that's kind of usually how it goes here. But like I said, it's slowly turning though. It's people, if they want to make it in the long run, people are figuring out, LED is really the way to go. So especially with the cost of weed coming down, LED is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, I think that's gonna I think yeah, and the price of weed's kind of weird, right? So
It is, yeah. It'll
it
go back up, but not,
well
yeah.
in Oregon it went down at least wholesale substantially.
Oh yeah,
Uh
I've never heard about that.
I mean it went from like, we're talking over the course from like when it was medical only to like full legalization came online. I mean, we're talking fluctuations from 2,800 to 3,000 to all the way down to like 2 to 400 a pound.
God,
And so
wow.
that's why I tell you a lot of people were making money in the backyard and then they weren't, right? If you
Yeah,
can
exactly.
grow 12 5-pound monsters, legally transfer the stuff you don't need at home for your medical to the dispensary for 28 hundo a pound, Steve,
Wow.
you can pay for your truck every year with your garden.
Yep.
And that's
That's
what
awesome.
people were doing, dude.
Yeah, I
And
believe
then
it. I
and then they
believe it.
got mad. They didn't want legalization to come in and ruin their racket, but there were people being left out in the cold as far as access. You know what I mean?
I got you. Yeah, that's what I'm mainly about is access. I mean, I think if some people in the state have access, everybody should. So,
Totally.
and that's how I've always been. I've always been. I've never owned a business, in the industry. But I think even if I did, I would still be about the plant. I want access to the plant. That's the end. That's my end game. That's the end game here, man. Is have access to this plant for everybody. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think and listen, I understand that people have to get paid and everything, but I
exactly.
think if you're in cannabis, of course, everyone deserves to make a living and maybe even a little bit more than a living, right? You should be able to pay for your bowling league or whatever the hell you're into, but at
Yeah,
the end of the day, everyone who needs cannabis should be able to get it.
exactly.
And if not at an affordable price, like, you know, free or cheap or whatever, we need to figure that out as a community.
Yeah, yeah. And if I'm gonna get caught on the street with 2 ounces of weed on me and get away with it because I have my card, the other dude across the street that gets caught with an ounce should not go to jail or get a fine at all for it because he doesn't have a card. You know what I mean?
I
We're
agree with
all the
that
same.
completely.
We're the same, man.
Well, and
Just because.
honestly, there's still advantages to having a card in Oregon. Like I still have my medical card and
Yeah,
I don't have to because you get bigger plant carts. Like anyone can grow four in Oregon, but I can
yeah.
flower because of the way the law is written, because of how many people live here and whatever. I can grow 10. I can flower out 10 plants here. I
Cool.
could
Heck
have
yeah.
like something like I've never met I think my limit is either 24 or 36 immature plants. Steve,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever hit it. I may have
That's
once, but I've
yeah.
never hit. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So like I can do a bag seed run. Like I've done a bag seed run at home where I only had two plants that finished and all of it was just garbage besides that. And I was able to do that in a little 2x2 for fun because I
Nice.
didn't have to worry about plant counts. I could grow 20 and kill them, kill most of them.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
It was really fun. Now we were talking and you said you're kind of feeling that there's like a lack of respect for cannabis growers as like skilled labor in
Yeah.
comparison to other ag jobs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel like so. Like I said, I'm about to be in my sixth grow out in the state, and a lot of those, man, are a lot of those I had to run by myself or just one other person, and we get shuffled around like, hire one or two people to run 1,000 plant grow. If they don't make it, we go, well, they fire one and hire someone cheaper. I just feel like we're very disposable as a title in the industry as a grower. Like I just got that. Like I said, I've been through so many different grows in the state. I feel like that every grow that I've been at. I know there are grows in the state that may have good crews, but far and few between. They're mostly ran by just one or two people, and I just feel like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm almost abused as a grower, not really abused, you know what I mean? Like almost to an extent, it's like, man, like this hasn't changed from this grow to that grow to this grow. Like they're still wanting one person to run this shit.
Dude, it almost sounds like it's almost, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about this, but it almost seems like there needs to be like a green local in Oklahoma,
No, I totally agree, and a lot of people have
like
said
a
that
union or
before.
something.
Oh yeah, a lot of people have said that. Dude, I've worked at get this. I worked at a distribution place one day. They opened up for maybe 2 months. It was called Woke Distribution, and they were just going to do sales and delivery and stuff and
Right.
transport. And after the first month, they couldn't pay their employee. They couldn't pay us. So
Jeez.
I did a live sit-in on Facebook, and I had like 80 people watching. And I put out the offices. I was in the office doing a live sit-in. I had the number on Facebook. People were calling the office, pay Steve his money, pay Steve. They ended up paying me, and I fucking left, man. But like you got to do
Damn.
shit like that sometimes to get paid out here. Like I said, sometimes it's the wild, wild west, man, and it's a bad side of it.
That's unfortunate. And that was always the weirdest part because like most of the work I've done in the cannabis industry was back medical. And it was like me, I had a day job. And then on the weekend, I would go trim for a buddy or I'd trim for this other buddy. And then I'd be there for like a day or two. And then I'd leave. It wasn't
Yeah,
like, I'm not out there, shitting in a hole for a week, not showering on the side of a hill in Humboldt, like trimming pounds all day. I mean, I might trim pounds all day, but I'm only doing it on the weekend. And then on Monday, I'm going back to the office. You feel me?
yeah,
Which is
it's
also
funny.
a weird way of being, to be honest with you.
It's funny.
um, and I've done weird security gigs on cannabis grows and stuff, but
That's cool.
I feel like there's always this weird moment where the work's done, where you're like, all right, so we talked about what this was going to cost. But now all the work's done and I'm in this like weird gray area. Like it's legal what we're doing, but like
Right.
is it that he's paying me legal? Like, okay, so what do I do if he doesn't pay me? There's always this awkward, and a lot of people get stiffed,
Oh
especially
yeah, a
back
lot.
in medical and back when it was like completely black market. Like they'd say, oh yeah, this is legal, this is medical, and you trim like 6 pounds. And they'd be like, "Here's your $100," and you'd be like, "It was 200 a pound," and they'd be like, "It was 200 a pound. Now it's 100, and you get to leave." And you're like,
Right?
"Oh fuck,
Yeah, I
man."
mean, yeah, there's nobody you can go to. The government don't give a shit. I mean, you know what I mean? They don't care. There's no one holding them accountable, man, and that sucks.
And that's why I hesitate to like just be like the industry this the industry. A lot of guys I'm like, well, let's call it the scene, let's call it the community, because like at the end of the day, like I don't necessarily care about the industry, right? If we get everyone smoking weed just because every third house on the block is running a 2 lighter, then
Yeah,
that's how we do it, right? If
yeah.
like just
No, I
everybody is
agree.
growing fire.
I agree.
um So that's unfortunate. And I know it would be hard to organize in Oklahoma. Um,
Yeah, I think someone's tried something along the lines. It's a lot of people. Like I said, it's the land of opportunity out here. A lot of people have tried different stuff, and I mean, there's 420 insurance companies out here, man.
wild. Okay.
Yep. So
So, so you've been consuming cannabis for a long time, I assume, if you've been growing it. What's your
yeah,
favorite method of consumption these days?
I'm a flower guy, man, through and
Right.
through. I'll never change. But I like smoking joints. I'm a joint guy.
Yeah, I feel like I vacillate, right? Like I definitely have a bong collection and I like my bongs. But honestly, if we're gonna sit down and have a sesh,
Yep.
that's what I want. I want a quarter ounce of weed at a minimum, depending on who it is. Like maybe an
Yeah.
eighth, but more like a quarter ounce. And we're gonna sit there with some king size paper, and I'm gonna roll us up a couple, three, four
Fuck yeah.
hooters, and we're gonna get down.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to be a blunt guy. I think everybody used to smoke blunts back in the day, but and then I could never roll a joint. I could always roll a good blunt back in the day, man. Like when I was 18 to like
Yeah,
mid 20s, I could always roll a good blunt, but I could never get a joint down. And then I don't know, the last like 8, 7, 8 years, I've really got joint rolling down. I can roll some big fatties, man.
my route to joint rolling was really weird because when I was in the army, I hand rolled cigarettes.
Okay.
So I had hand rolled hundreds of cigarettes
Yeah, yeah,
before I'd
nice.
ever. And so weed is different. Yes, folks, I understand weed is different. But if you can roll a cigarette in a and consistently, you can, after about 3 or 4 tries, you can get a serviceable joint figured out pretty quickly. Is all I'm
Oh yeah,
saying.
I believe that. So I know a lot of people that started that way.
Yeah, and I think that also a lot of times when I smoke a joint, it kind of scratches that itch that never really goes away. That I just want a Humphrey Bogart life.
Right? That's funny.
Oh yeah, don't smoke tobacco, kids. It gets in your belt. It grabs you by the belt buckle and its hooks in you in a weird way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm 4 years off cigarettes, so it's awesome.
yeah. It's hard to quit, but when you do, man, it feels good, I think.
Very, very hard to quit.
So I saw on your Instagram that you were doing some comedy.
Yeah, yeah. Shoot, last year I tried stand up comedy for the first time.
Oh, okay,
My buddy owned a coffee shop in Oklahoma City. It was like a cannabis coffee shop with no alcohol. It was almost like a bar type setting, but it was just coffee, no alcohol, and
that's
you could consume.
fun.
Yeah, and you could consume weed in there. So one of our other buddies, he started an open mic, and then we would go out and do comedy, and then halfway through the year, he ended up passing it over to me, and I was the host for the rest of the year. So I hosted the open mics and shit. So it was pretty cool, man. I got quite a story from the hitchhiking and where I've come today and then what I've experienced in my life. So I think everybody's got a story to tell. It's just how they get it out there. But stand up, stand up was cool, man. Like the main reason I wanted to do stand up was I did an educational speaking one a few years ago for growing cannabis, and I got real nervous on the mic. I got choked up, and then I was like stumbling my words. I kind of looked like an idiot, but I got real nervous. I'd never spoke on a mic in front of people, so
Oh, that
I was
makes
like, man,
sense.
how can I overcome this fear of talking in front of a crowd, and and then the dude had the coffee shop, and then the open mic popped up. I was like, okay, it's a real small crowd, maybe like 10 people there, and I know half of them. So I was like, that's cool. I'll go up there and just do comedies. So that was my main reason for doing it, and it actually worked out. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
but yeah, so I'll be doing, and I did it last year for fun, just doing the stand up, the open mic shit. It was all free stuff, and then there was a every April around 420. There's a Chronic Palooza thing out here, a big weed festival. And
Cool.
last year I did about 15 minutes on the main stage for comedy, and that was like freshly in. I was only like 3 or 4 months into doing comedy, so I did that, and then I just did open mics for the rest of the year. And then this year on 422, April 22nd, in Marietta, Oklahoma, I'll be doing my first paid comedy gig. So,
Oh, hell yeah,
yeah.
man.
So I'm actually getting paid for it. And it ain't going to be much money, but dude, you got to start somewhere. It's my first paid gig. So I'm fucking stoked.
Well, all my Okie listeners, because I've actually got almost as many Oklahoma listeners as I've got Oregon listeners.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
Go out there and try to see Steve. Don't tell
Yeah.
him. Don't tell him I sent you though. Don't do his marketing. No, tell him it's fine. Tell him I sent you.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, it'll be in Marietta, Oklahoma. I think it's called the Fire Buds Craft Cannabis, or I think it's what it's called, but it's in Marietta, Oklahoma. And
Okay,
yeah,
man.
I'm stoked. I'm stoked. I'm really excited to do it, man. I
And
got
where
a I
can
got a lot of I got a lot of 420 humor. Like I said, my birthday's on 420, so I base a lot of the stand up around 420 and cannabis and shit. So it's pretty cool.
Yes, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's so that makes sense. That a lot of your Instagram stuff makes a little more sense now with the
Yeah.
birthday. So
Yep.
so where can people, speaking of Instagram and all this stuff, where can people follow you so they don't necessarily have to remember what we said and they can just read it so it sticks in their brain?
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram at hippieism420. That's hippieism HIPPIEISM 420. And
Okay.
that's on Instagram. I'm pretty active on there. And then just on Facebook, you can follow me. I'm what they call a digital creator, I guess, right?
Right, right, right.
And that's on Facebook. You can find me at Steve Alspaugh, and that's ALSPAUGH. And I'm pretty active on there when I'm out of Facebook jail. They like to lock us growers up a lot in Facebook jail. So
Okay,
yeah,
man. So that's
we're pretty
awesome.
active on there. So and then I had a group I started. So when I moved to Oklahoma, I started a cannabis group, and it
Yeah.
was called Aesthetically Pleasing, and the THC and aesthetically was capitalized or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And within a year, that group had hit 12,000 members. Man, it was fucking awesome. And
Nice.
then all the all the competition in the industry. People were reporting people's stuff. People were going in Facebook jail. And I think in 1 year, I spent like 180 days locked up in Facebook jail, and I couldn't post anything in the group. And so it just the traction lost a lot. But it was cool to like, building up a group like that. It was pretty cool. We were
Oh,
doing giveaways, doing live smoking videos and stuff.
nice.
Yeah.
All right,
Pretty cool,
everybody,
man.
check out Steve Alspaugh on YouTube. Check out Hippieism420 on Instagram. Thank you so much for being on the Bag Seed Chronicles, Steve. Let's overgrow the world.
Yes, sir. Thank you. One love, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Bag Seed Chronicles. You can find me, Uncle Dig, at Uncle Dig on Instagram. If you enjoyed this episode of the Bag Seed Chronicles, please share with a friend.
Yeah. We go together like a joint and a lighter. We take a puff that ain't enough, so we get higher. How you chief up to keep up, I truly admire. You ignite sparks in my heart, I can feel the fire. I said, we go together like a joint and a lighter.
I ain't had no prime in a while, and I can't feel that fire.
She's like, we're gonna have to put you on a methadone program. And I was like, the fuck you are.
A lot of people, they tell me the strain's so good, and I try it. No, it's not.